Sao Paulo, Brazil. Marcelo Bastos takes 14-year-old Luciana Olvera hostage after a failed robbery attempt. For 2 hours, the suspect keeps police sharpshooters at bay as he uses the terrified girl as a human shield. To the kidnapper's surprise, a news cameraman steps forward to document the crisis. The kidnapper orders the cameraman to move closer so he can make his demands directly to the Brazilian president. The cameraman leans in for a close-up when suddenly he lunges for the gun as the suspect tries to squeeze the trigger. Officers swarm in, putting an end to the standoff. The kidnapper is taken to jail, and the heroic cameraman is showered with praise by the adoring crowd. But the cameraman is not who he appears to be. He is Claudio Falco, a tough police sergeant and army veteran who has trained for emergency situations just like this one. Posing as a news cameraman, Claudio leaps into action.
I saw through the camera that it was possible to take the gun away from the guy.
When Claudio sees the fear in Luciana's eyes, he is reminded of his own sister, who was recently killed in a tragic accident.
She made me remember my sister. She looks a bit like my sister. I can't talk about it.
It is the powerful memory of his sister's death that inspires Claudio to act.
That moment when he was looking from one side to another, I felt it was the right time to make my move.
Claudio struggles with the kidnapper. Luciana is paralyzed with fear as the gun barrel is pressed against her cheek.
He tried to shoot, to pull the trigger, you know what I mean? I got scared.
In the blink of an eye, Claudio disarms the gunman. Luciana is amazed when she discovers the true identity of the man who saved her life.
I thought he was a cameraman. I never guessed that he was a policeman.
A short time later, Luciana is reunited with her rescuer. It was a gutsy move, but for this brave cop, it was all part of the job. Dallas, Texas. Teams of teenage girls from all over the country are competing for the coveted title of National Cheerleading Champions. Among them is the World Cup All-Stars, a squad from New Jersey coached by Elaine Pascali and her daughter Joelle.
It was a very big deal. We always kind of build up to NCAA Nationals in Dallas.
The girls have worked hard to prepare for this event, but according to All-Star Andrea Sorensen, it's worth the effort.
Dallas is the biggest competition of the year. It's the Nationals, kind of like the World Series for baseball.
The All-Stars take to the floor in the qualifying round, performing acrobatic stunts and difficult formations with practiced precision. Cheerleader Blair Teeter executes a flawless double twist into the arms of her teammates. Elaine and Joelle are ecstatic. Then, the 3-minute routine ends with a flurry of backflips. It appears that the All-Stars can expect a winning score. Elaine and Joelle rush to congratulate the girls, but there's big trouble.
Andrea's teeth are gone.
They weren't like jumping up and down in joy. They were, oh my God, Andrea's teeth, they're out.
Just seconds into the routine, there's a bizarre accident. During her twisting descent, Blair's elbow slams into Andrea's mouth.
I was the back spot, and I got hit with an elbow. It just happened to be in the wrong spot.
Watch closely. The powerful blow knocks out Andrea's front tooth.
The tooth, it kind of looked like a projectile. It just like flew right out. And I don't even know where it landed.
Incredibly, the young All-Star summons the courage to keep cheering and never misses a beat.
Blair elbowed her in the double pull down. And she went on and did the whole routine.
Andrea's teammates are devastated by the sight of her injury. Elaine and Joelle rush backstage to find the girl in agony.
Oh my God.
I just looked at her and I said, oh my God.
One tooth is gone and another is broken. Andrea needs immediate medical attention. Sadly, her absence from the team will end any hope of the All-Stars winning a title.
Immediately, Joelle and I decided that was it. We were pulling out. It wasn't worth all of the blood and the tears.
But Andrea has other plans. Remarkably, she announces that she's going to compete in the finals.
So I can't let the team down. Like, we're here to win, and if I wasn't in, they wouldn't compete, and I wouldn't want that for the team.
Andrea's courage in the face of adversity inspires the All-Stars to an impressive finish.
We were third. We're from New Jersey, and that's an accomplishment.
And now, not only does Andrea have her memories of this victorious day, she's also regained her winning smile. Quebec City, Canada. A deranged man with a machine gun has stormed into Canada's National Assembly building and taken hostages. Outraged at the government, the crazed man says that if his demands are not met, he will kill anyone who gets in his way. Outside, SWAT teams, snipers, and rescue units are in place for what could be a long, bloody battle. But then, Sergeant-at-Arms René Jalbert enters the room. He bravely faces down the gunman, determined to reason with him. The Sergeant-at-Arms barely flinches as the madman fires his automatic weapon inches from his face. Jalbert tries to bond with the gunman, noting that they both served in the army. Even though the lunatic could kill him at any second, Jalbert's cool manner seems to gain the gunman's confidence. Remarkably, Jalbert convinces the man to release his hostages. Now he must get them out before the gunman has a change of heart. Outside, one of the captives describes the terror inside the building.
When I saw he was shooting, I tried to hide. I felt a burning, and I saw that I caught a bullet in my arm.
Then, Jalbert somehow convinces the madman to give up. He offers the man a smoke and leads him out of the hall and into police custody. Jalbert walks away a national hero. Later, he receives a medal for his bravery. Fittingly, it's awarded in the same chamber where Jalbert put his life on the line just days before.
Every sergeant-at-arms across Canada that I know have all got the same responsibility as I have. It's their house, and they are to protect it, and surely to protect the members. That's their prime function. So I just think that I did my job, that's all.
The hostages know that they made it out alive because of René Jalbert, a man who stared death in the face to save innocent lives.
Now, an amazing video classic.
This is Harry Rakowski, a human resources director who lives a quiet life in Texas. But on a fateful October day in 1994, this mild-mannered citizen risked his life to save the leader of the free world. Washington, D.C. The sights and sounds of the nation's capital are being enjoyed by thousands of tourists. Among them is Harry Rakowski.
I was going to do some sightseeing, so I had gone to the JFK Memorial, grabbed a bite to eat, and then I just kind of came across the White House.
At that same moment, vacationers Shirley and Ken Egan are also admiring the White House. They're using a video camera to record their trip.
It was a nice morning. We decided to take in all the sights of the White House and the Arlington Cemetery and all the monuments.
But one of the visitors captured on Ken's home video isn't a sightseer. As the unsuspecting couple videotapes the first family's home, a terrifying sound rings out. A deranged gunman has opened fire on the White House. The man tries to reload, then suddenly, Harry tackles the shooter and pins him to the ground. Others quickly rush in to help. Watch again. Without warning, the man pulls a semi-automatic rifle from his overcoat and unleashes a barrage of gunfire.
What triggered him to shooting evidently was he saw someone out there, what he thought was the president.
Panicked tourists run for their lives as the gunman sprays 30 rounds through the fence.
And everybody just started running up the street, you know, screaming. It was a very scary moment.
Fearing the man will turn his weapon on the crowd, Harry takes action.
I had to tell my feet to move because I knew I had to get to him quickly. And if I didn't get to him quickly, then I was going to get hurt.
Harry slams the crazed man to the pavement and struggles to grab the gun.
I could feel him trying to get out from under me. And so I just remember holding him as tight as I could with a bear hug so that he couldn't get to a weapon.
Incredibly, another tourist actually leaves his crying baby and runs to Harry's aid. The man knows that if the gunman regains control of his weapon, both he and his child will be in grave danger. Within seconds, Secret Service agents and police officers swarm the scene.
Anybody shot? No. Anybody shot? Hey, everybody back from the street. Everybody get back. Everybody out.
The brave man who helped Harry bring down the gunman returns to his baby, who is safe and sound in her stroller. Although Harry has been injured by the muzzle of the rifle, no one has been shot. Thanks to Harry's act of heroism, the gunman's clip was knocked to the ground before he could reload.
If he had got reloaded, I think he would have probably shot the people that were standing on the sidewalk.
The bullet-riddled walls of the White House are proof of the gunman's murderous intentions. Fortunately, the president was not in harm's way.
The president and his family were never in any danger, and the president was upstairs in the residence watching a football game at the time.
Officers later find a suicide note in the madman's pocket, declaring his wish to die in a hail of gunfire. The man is convicted of attempting to assassinate the president and sent to prison. Harry's courageous act earns him a Medal of Valor from the Secret Service and the eternal gratitude of those he risked his life to save.
I believe that God had me in that place at that time for a purpose, and it was just following through with what he had in mind.
Lincoln, Maine. State Trooper Stephen Murray, the calmest patrolman in New England, is about to issue a speeding ticket to Harold Walls, the angriest driver in America.
What's the date on that? I'll have to plead guilty if I got to work, because I can't take the court to take the day off. Now just give me the thing, let me get out of here.
The trooper caught him driving 84 miles an hour, but he will soon discover that Harold's motor mouth can move a lot faster than that.
I didn't do nothing wrong, and I know I did. Now let me get the out of here. I ain't in no hurry, but I did want to get some kills for my dog. It's just about ready to get the out of here. Give me that.
Can I explain it to you, sir, so you'll know what you need to do?
I know what I do. You're ripping me off, and I didn't deserve it because I didn't do nothing wrong.
Incredibly, Trooper Murray manages to keep his cool as he is berated by the irate driver.
Irate would be a good description of this guy. He was totally, like I was ruining his day. This guy came crashing down.
Now, are you a state or local? Looks like you're a state trooper. Get back and pick up some more guys and run up the friggin' deficit on the working man. Just give me the damn thing, let me get out of here.
As Harold lashes out with a non-stop stream of insults and profanity, Trooper Murray calmly goes about his duty.
Read the instructions here. This says you have 20 days to respond to this summons. Read the back of this hard copy. This will explain how you can have a trial if you want. On the back, that'll explain it. Attaches an envelope. See? Put a stamp on that, you mail that in. They'll tell you what to do.
I can afford the stamp.
Until now, Harold has just been blowing off steam. But watch what happens when he is told how much the ticket will cost.
The fine's right here, sir. It's $137.50.
Harold explodes.
You're crazy! I get it! You're crazy! My wife took money out of her! Now where she's working to pay my insurance so I wouldn't get picked up by... You're crazy!
He just kept swearing, and just the whole vehicle was rocking from side to side just because he was just going crazy in there, just shaking him. The sweat was running right off him. He was just so upset.
Harold's temper tantrum is about to cost him even more money. He now faces additional fines for tearing up his ticket.
If you don't pick this up, sir, I'm going to summon you for littering.
I'll pick this 100. Are you crazy? I wasn't even speeding, you 100 and some dollars.
Some more right there.
I've never heard of a song like that in my life, you.
Thankfully, Harold has enough sense to clean up his act, bringing an end to the most bizarre traffic stop of Trooper Murray's career.
Let me get the out of here, miserable.
Bye.
But today, there's a kinder, gentler Harold Waltz. He is learning to control his temper by enjoying yard work and listening to the tranquil sound of water trickling into his reflecting pool. He's even named his home Harmony Place. Harold says he is a changed man.
Put it this way, I've been picked up 6 or 7 times since then. 84 miles an hour on the Mass Turnpike. I was polite and courteous. Goodbye. Not even a written warning.
Fortunately, Harold's road raging days are long behind him, now that he's learned to live in harmony.
I'm the best of the world's worst drivers. So, at least I'm best at something, I guess. Let me get the out of here, miserable.
A Boeing 707, a jumbo jet that can carry 240 passengers and crew, is on final approach. But suddenly, the giant aircraft veers out of control. The jetliner explodes on impact, bursting into a massive fireball as it rockets down the tarmac to a blazing stop. Miraculously, no one is killed in this horrifying accident, and no one is even injured. That's because this jumbo jet was crashed on purpose. Edwards Air Force Base, California. The Federal Aviation Administration has teamed with NASA to test a new fuel additive designed to reduce the threat of fire in the event of a crash. The plane is filled with test dummies and is guided by remote control. Air Force veteran Fitz Fulton is the pilot for this uniquely challenging mission.
I've never had any desire to crash an airplane. I've spent my whole career trying to avoid that.
Using cockpit cameras and a computer-guided tracking system, Fitz will steer the aircraft from takeoff to its ultimate crash landing. Rocks placed on the tarmac will generate sparks as these jagged steel cutters rip through the jet's fuel tanks. The command is given. Fitz guides the aircraft as it takes off and reaches an altitude of 2,000 feet. Then he controls the plane on its descent to the hazardous runway below. The left wing strikes the ground first as the jet swerves and erupts into flames. Watch again as a wing cutter punctures the tank, releasing fuel and igniting the explosion. Back at Mission Control, experts are disappointed that the special fuel has caused such an enormous blaze.
There was some thought that with that kind of fuel, you'd have less of a fireball.
But despite the explosion, the experiment is a success. That's because, though intense, the fire never reached the dummies inside the cabin. The cost of this crash test was $12 million. But the lives it will save are priceless. Several weeks ago, we showed you the most amazing video we've ever seen. Watch closely as a Navy crewman actually gets sucked into the engine of a jet plane. It's hard to believe that anyone could survive such a horrifying ordeal, but he did. So we embarked on a nationwide manhunt to find him. A letter from one of our viewers brought us to Clinton, Indiana, where we found former Petty Officer J.D. Bridges, and this is his amazing story. ...1991, the Persian Gulf. During Operation Desert Storm, the crew aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt is on full alert. In the early morning hours of February 20th, J.D. and a new recruit are preparing for the takeoff of an A-6 fighter jet. The trainee positions the front wheels of the plane and moves back. That's when J.D. steps forward to check his work, but he makes a big mistake.
I don't know why or what crossed my mind the way I entered the plane, but it was wrong because I should have been kneeling and I wasn't.
Watch again as J.D. moves in front of the engine. Suddenly, J.D. is sucked inside. Now he's in a desperate fight for his life. The helpless man struggles as he's pulled into the deadly blades of the massive jet engine.
It sucked off my helmet, it sucked off my goggles, it took my gloves off my hand, chewed my float coat, my shirt, and my jacket up all the way around me.
Then, in an amazing stroke of luck, J.D.'s helmet flies off his head and jams the engine's razor-sharp blades, causing him to slow down. A fellow crewman sees the engine malfunction and quickly signals the pilot to shut it down, just seconds before J.D. would have been ripped to shreds. Flight deck personnel race to the scene, expecting the worst. But to their amazement, J.D. claws his way out of the engine. Later, he recounts the terrifying moment for his fellow crewmen.
All the air was rushing through the intake, and it was stuck in my air. I couldn't get any air, and then I heard him shut down the engine, and I looked back, and I just started pulling myself out, and that's the last thing I remember.
This is truly a remarkable story of survival. J.D. knows that it's nothing short of a miracle.
Somebody was looking out for me.
An old Navy buddy of J.D.'s, Mike McDonald, witnessed the terrifying moment firsthand. Mike wrote the letter that made tonight's story possible.
God must have been holding on to his foot. Nothing happened to him. You know, minor cuts and bruises and scratches and a couple broken bones, and that's it. You know, it's amazing. It's got to be a miracle.